Welcome back to the Trading Alchemist. So in this video, I wanted to talk about this concept of chaos and predictability. So in chaos, with enough chaos, you can find predictable patterns. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about was this idea of jelly beans to begin. You ever go into a place and it has this contest where it's like, guess how many jelly beans are inside the jar? And you're going to go ahead and you're going to guess one time. You're going to guess maybe there's about 540 jelly beans in this jar. Now you don't know, and then your friend is going to guess, 533 jelly beans. And then the stranger next door will guess 1,158 jelly beans, okay? Now, by yourselves, you are all probably wrong, okay? And that's important to understand. You are randomly selecting a number, random person, random idea, random math, and each person is going to guess something that is completely, out of the ordinary, but to what they think is going to be the answer. Now, the thing is that each one of you will probably lose, but there is a method to this to where you can be right. And the idea is that if you keep on getting everybody's numbers that are guessing, and you get a big enough sample size, and you average out every single one of these guesses as far off as they are, you can exclude the outliers if you want to, they'll eventually cancel out, but eventually you will get an average number. And that average number will be close to what the actual number of jelly beans would be inside of that jar. So as somebody that is a single person guessing, you are most likely going to be wrong. But collectively, overall, and doing math of an average of all of the guesses, you will collectively be right. And if I keep on adding more and more guesses into here, you will see how close it gets to the actual amount of jelly beans that are inside the jar. This is statistics in a nutshell. And this actually works. You can go out and you can test it if you want to. The more people I guess, the more the average you'll get, and the closer the number will be. And again, let me reset this for a second, and I'm going to have this number here. And as I click on the numbers here, you will see each guess is going to be randomly selected, but over time, the average, which is that X, will find its way closer to the mean. Okay? Now, let's use another example now of something else that uses the same kind of method here. Okay, let me go over to this and take a look at this. This is a Glayton board. I believe it's called Glayton. And basically, if you were to drop like a coin on this peg will have two options of directions. It'll either go left or it'll go right. Now, which way it's going to go is a 50-50 chance. And we have no way of knowing where it's going to go. It may end up in one of these slots somewhere along the way, depending on the path it ends up taking. So if it just keeps going to the left, like so, it will eventually end up in, this slot right over here, So now let's take a look as I drop one of these beads down, and you can see it's like Plinko there, and there's exactly where it went. And I'm going to drop another one. Now, we have no idea where it's going to go, and it could just randomly go into any one of these slots, okay? But with enough of a sample size, I'm going to drop 100 now, you're going to see something very interesting happen to this graph. As I drop more and more of these balls, they are randomly going to create a shape. And that shape, believe it or not, is a bell curve. Now, as I'm doing this and I drop more and more, you will find that most of the balls will end up in the middle. They will eventually return to the middle because there are more paths that get down into the middle, and there'll be a few that go on the very end. And you'll see that. Okay, so now, using that same idea, I'm going to show you another example. And this is pretty interesting. If I turn this chart onto the side and put it into a moving graph of a chart, you will see that same pattern here. And notice that this could be representing a volume profile, right, of how much volume is on the ends here. And you'll notice that it always returns back to the middle. And on the top is a red area, and on the bottom is a green area, but this is the middle, and it always ends up returning back to the middle. Because statistically, that's where it'll end up, and this is a standard distribution. So, in trading, where is the best place to buy? Honestly, it is at the range low or the range high for a shorting area. And where would the target be? It would most likely be the middle or the opposite side. So I will show you one more graph here to give you an idea of how these charts end up working out. And there you go. This is sell, short at the top, long at the bottom, or buy at the low and sell at the top. And again, it goes back down to standard distribution, right? The mean is the middle. And if we look back at this chart, we can actually see the range. Okay, here is the range. Notice this right here. This is kind of this cluster right here of candles have closed, and up here you'll see there are multiple touches that go across this right over here. This is the range right over here. And if we were to measure out this range from here to here, you'll see here is the middle, the 50% line, which I will draw out right over here. Okay, let me get rid of this. And here is that 50% line. In fact, I will move this down right over here. And look what happened. As soon as we were over at this side, look, it came to the middle, right? It bounced up to the top, and it came through the middle onto the other side, right? And where's the target? Look, it always comes back to the middle. So this is the significance of a range. And also, you can actually see that bell curve right over here. You can actually use this tool right over here, fixed range profile, right? So if I come over here and I draw from the start of the range to the end of the range, it'll actually show you all of the volume. You can see this red line right over here. This is the area that it came back to, and it actually shows you the top of the range and the bottom of the range, but it gives you this insight of volume as to where, where the volume was the strongest and where it was the weakest. And usually over in these areas, this is where manipulation happens. And down there, this is where manipulation happens. Turns out they're the best places to buy in a chart. But you can take this and you can go even further. So I will jump over to this Bitcoin chart for now, just because I have less googly gop on the screen. And I'm going to use this weighted average for this range right over here. You see, this is the top right over here. The top here, top, bottom, bottom, right? And if I take it from here, all the way over here, you can now see the volume profile. And you can see where this red line is right over here, which comes to about 67,100. This is the area where the most volume was done, and this is the average right over here. Okay, that's what this red line represents right here. If you double click on this right here, you can actually see it is the point of control. So definitely look into this tool. Hopefully it'll help you along the way, and now you understand where it came from, and also where the buy zones are. That is the most important thing, and where the targets are in the end of the day. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.